Say hello to John Keim, covers the Commanders for ESPN.com, at John_Keim on your Twitter. John, good morning.
JK.
What up, guys?
How are you, buddy?
Are you surprised?
Tired.
I'm sure you are. I'm sure you've been working around the clock. Surprised by the trade request, or is this just standard business at this point in the negotiation where the two parties are clearly far apart, and this is just one of the few levers that Terry McLaurin and his agent can pull at this point?
I think you just summed it up. That last part. There's been no movement. There's been no momentum toward a deal. So, we saw a couple weeks ago, he came out at the Eastern Automotive shoot and expressed his frustration. That didn't move it. He, held out. That didn't move it. He came in. That didn't move it. So here we are. And I'm a little, like you guys said, I guess I'm slightly surprised that maybe it happened right now, but I don't know that. But when I step back, well, it's not really because, he got here and there hasn't been any movement. So, this is another way to try and maybe get something moving.
The first thing I thought of when I saw the story was, wow, that this happened quickly. But then the next question that immediately came to mind is, I was like, well, wait, this doesn't mean he's leaving camp, right? He's still going to do the whole pup list and sign autographs every few days, right? I mean,
yes, I don't, because if he leaves, and now it's, you're getting fined again. So
right.
Nobody likes that. So I would expect, I would think I don't know for sure, but I would think he would continue to stay here.
Right.
But yeah, no, it's been a show.
But JK, as you know, other players have done this. This is just part of the business.
Right.
Part of the deal.
Miles Garrett said, I'm out of here. I'm never playing for Cleveland. Brandon Ayuk said, trade me. I think Jamar Chase requested a trade before he signed a deal the following spring in March. He played under that last year. They picked up his fifth-year option. So it does happen with these big-name players.
Sure.
But, again, it's not good. There's no confidence from either side.
No, and there's a couple things to consider here to know. First of all, this team's not going to trade him.
Right.
Let's be clear on this. This team believes it can contend for a Super Bowl. You're not going to trade your top receiver for draft picks. Do you know what I mean? It's
stupid.
It doesn't help your goal, right? And he here's the other thing. He is under contract for this year. So if they don't sign him to a contract and he doesn't come in, he's losing all that money. So,
right.
That's what's it, he's going to play here, right? The other thing is for another team to trade for him. If, let's say, Washington said, okay, you know what, it's going nowhere. See what the value is. No team's going to swoop in here with a third-round pick and get Terry McLaurin. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
You're going to have to give up something because it'd be painful for these guys to do that. Then you'd have to give up something painful for you and then pay him more than $30 million. That's not going to happen. And I don't without talking to every team, but certainly hearing from some, I'd be shocked, right? He's a very good player, but that's a lot to give up. And I think the other hard part here is his age isn't going to change. He is going to be 31 when the extension starts, and that's been a sticking point all along. And it's why I always felt that this would be a very tricky negotiation. And he's been productive. You can see the comparable numbers to DK Metcalf and what Metcalf got. Metcalf is 2 years younger, and for teams with receivers, that matters when you hit that age 30. So that was always going to be a tough part to overcome, for sure. So, I don't know. It's again, no movement toward anything. So here we are.
John, let me ask you a logistical question about the money kicking in for the year 31 season for him. Is there a way that they could do the deal where they could move some of the money into this upcoming season and, make it a little more palatable on the team side that maybe they're not signing him through his age 33, 34 season. They get some of that money into the 2025 contract. Is that even doable?
You're making my head hurt here on this one. Yeah,
I know.
That one, I'd have to double check as to what they could do on that, to be honest. So But what I know is that they don't want to go. They're not going to hit the numbers he wants. So even if you can maneuver some of that, it's still not going to get to what he wants. And so, like what he apparently wants right now. So I don't even think that's going to matter. I don't. This This is a heavily analytics based group. Heavily analytics based. So you look at what receivers at certain points in their career, what they do and when they start to fade. And when, over 30 is when that happens. And, I know McLaurin has said that he wants it on a case by case basis, which is, obviously that's how I would think too. Who wouldn't think like that? And he's been consistent, right? And, productive, but the analytics are what they are for them. And that's why they're holding the line at where they're at. So, I don't see, it's really hard to see at this point any deal starting with a 3.
Yeah.
Right.
I just don't see the team budging, frankly.
I could see them budging a little bit depending on, how things transpire over the next couple of weeks. I could possibly see that, because at some point you're like, okay, it's going to take a little bit more to get this done. Let's just get it done. I could see that, but it's funny because there's a lot of, is there a Terry tax for what he's gone through here, right? He was the face of the franchise during the Snyders. He was productive. He played with all these different quarterbacks. And, so should he be rewarded for that? And then they're going to look at it and say, and I think from his side to say yes, he should be. And from their side, they're going to say, well, you're getting paid for what you're going to do, not for what you've done. And the reason why it's better is because this group is here.
John, what's your?
You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
I don't know. It's very. That's why I say it's always been tricky to me to get this done.
Yeah.
What is your best guess as for the line in the sand number, AAV wise, that the Commanders have in mind right now? Is it 26 million? Is it 27.5 million? Do you have a number?
Or is it lower
in
than
mind?
that?
Yeah, it could be lower.
Well,
I guess.
right now I think it'd be lower, but I think I could see. This is a guess that if a deal gets done, I think the most I could see it at right now would be 28. But that's a guess, not report. So I'll be clear right with that.
Right.
But I don't, I just don't see it getting it right now. It'd be hard for me to see getting above that. If they really wanted to get there, they could have done that already. But then it's a matter of, on McLaurin's side, will you go down to that number? That's the other question. But I think like I said, there's been no movement. Both sides are pretty strong on what they believe the number is.
So,
or should be.
When the Sutton deal came out, I don't know. I mean, I know nothing, but I look at it right away and I go, well, that doesn't help Terry. There's no way. Right?
No, it doesn't.
Yeah.
No.
So
he's better than Courtland Sutton.
For sure.
Sutton's had some injuries and all that, but then Sutton's a good receiver.
But it's a similar age, and it's not like he's a million times better. I mean,
Correct.
Right. So there's some similarities there. So I was like, ooh, that's not going to really help. But Sutton said something that I thought, oh, you know what? That could be an out for Terry if he's just kind of feeling like he's boxed in here. Because Sutton said, I took a little less because I wanted to help the team. That could be an out for Terry here. Ultimately, if he can get the team to budge a little bit, he could say, I took a little less at the end of the day because I want to, compete for a championship for the next 3 years.
Yeah, sure. And the other thing to keep in mind, when a lot of fans or others look at it, it's myopic. It's McLaurin. You got to take care of McLaurin. The team is looking at 53. So you have, let's say, in a best case scenario for this season, you want to extend Marshawn Lattimore. He showed that he was healthy. You got him coming up for an extension next year. Laramie Tunsil for an extension next year. Frankie Louvu for an extension next year. Then obviously in a few years you have Jaden Daniels' contract, which is just going to, be a monster one. So the goal is to not just win a Super Bowl during this period, but contend for one throughout number 5's career here, right? So like that's also part of the equation. So that's where it goes to what you just said about Sutton. And the other thing is too, like Tyreek Hill last year signed an extension, and he was one of the most dangerous receivers in the NFL, period, if not the most, right? I mean, he had, I think the year before he signed his extension, he had back-to-back 1,700-yard seasons. And his is $30 million per year and 52.5 guaranteed. Mike Evans, $21 million a year, 42. I think it was 41, 42 guaranteed. And he had number of years with over 1,000 yards every year. So, and like I think in the 3 of the 4 out of 4 years prior to his extension, he had caught 48 touchdown passes in 4 years. So like the point is like that's, so you look at all those 3 deals, and that's what they're going to look at as comps. And again, the hard part has been the comps, because again, McLaurin and Metcalf, the numbers are similar. They're very similar, but again, 2 years younger. And that's the tricky part. But then like McLaurin, yes, he's going to be 30. He is 30 this year, but he's only been in the league for 7 years, or since 19, whatever it is, his 7th year. So like he doesn't have that same wear and tear. Like whereas like Mike Evans, when he signed at age 30, had been in the league for a couple years longer. Yeah. So there was a little bit more wear and tear. So like that's why I say there hasn't been a great comp, and I think that's where the Sutton thing, like. Again, is he the comp exactly for Terry? No, but it's close, and so like it's certainly there's your floor, and how much is that ceiling now with this deal? How much more should he be paid than a Courtland Sutton? I think that's the question. So, like I said, this is
your head still hurts.
Well, yeah, you're trying to prepare for a stadium vote, and it's like
right,
here's a little turn.
But here's the thing. At the end of the day, I mean, Terry's not stupid, right? He knows he can't afford to like sit out or play games and act like this ankle thing is, some debilitating thing for the first 6 weeks, right? Like
it'd be like Paul Pierce for that first game coming out of the wheelchair.
Yeah, it's just not going to work. So I feel some solace knowing that I think he's going to play for us, so we're going to have him. But it is definitely a major league distraction at this point.
So, yeah, and, you're right. Like, Terry's a smart guy. And Terry's also a very resolute person, too, and very much feels like he knows his value, and he will fight for that value. That's why he went from having to prove to Urban Meyer a couple of times that he deserved a scholarship. It's why he went from third-round pick to this. I mean, nobody expected this, right? So, but that's why he's here. I do think, so there are he is under contract, and that's ultimately what they're going to say. And okay, if, you don't like that, then come in and play and go put up the numbers again. And either you get franchise tagged or you hit the market. And the franchise tag, I think I had Joel Corey on. I know you guys talking, but I had Joel Corey on the podcast a couple weeks ago, and said, if he makes the Pro Bowl this year, I think the tag number would be over 30 for him.
Right.
So, that's a really good number. But would the team do that? I don't know, because they don't want to go to that 30. But it's be for 1 year. And the other thing I think with McLaurin, I think if I would say this too, distraction, only if you let it become one. You can shut that down and just say, I'll talk about it right now and then never again the rest of the season. I'm not going to talk about the contract. Because then if you do, you risk not only becoming distraction, but having others maybe get annoyed by it, because the other players are not there to get McLaurin a contract. They're there to win. Right. So at a certain point, nobody's going to want to hear. It's Zach Ertz, who respect the heck out of McLaurin, but you don't want to hear about the contract when you're trying to win it, go compete for a Super Bowl title.
Isn't it also getting to the point, John, that's all true what you say. I agree 100%. It's also getting to the point where, not yet, but pretty soon it's a distraction because we need him to get his reps. We need the team to sync up that part.
Yeah, for sure. And, you're going to, the good thing for them is that they have a year of banked reps, as they like to say, right? But you still need to get out there. you can't just roll out of bed and go do it and think everything's going to be the same. So yes, you would. I think I don't know if that's a distraction as much as it's not ideal.
Yeah.
And it, you can look at silver linings and say, okay, what is happening without him there? Like, does it force Jaden Daniels to look at some others, or just they get a chance to see other receivers in different roles? What more can they do? But at some point, we were watching him throw fade routes the other day in practice and having a hard time. And that's 17's. That's one of his better routes, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, that's an area where you really need him and get that timing down again. Cause, and the one thing, and what I don't know is are they throwing to each other after walkthroughs? I don't know, but that's still not the same thing. You do need that. And you would like ideally a couple weeks of that before the season opener for sure.
John, we know you have to run. Go grab 3 Advil, hydrate, go take a nap, and then rinse and repeat. Okay, it's a summer of Terry.
There is no nap today, fellas.
No,
probably not.
Zippy.
All right, John,
Thank you, John.
Thanks for the time, man. It's John Keim, covers the Commanders for ESPN.com. We'll take your calls next at 800-636-1067. What should the Commanders do with Terry McLaurin now that he has officially requested a trade? Should they consider trading Terry McLaurin away for a draft pick haul? I don't know if I love that idea because it doesn't help you in 2025. But call us at 800-636-1067. Give us your opinion. What should the Commanders do with Terry going forward?